If this is your first time here and you want to know more about the latest promotions and phones, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell button to be the first notified.
So the news broke Friday that the Metro, well, I could just say T-Mobile. So the T-Mobile and Sprint merger it's over the last few weeks, it's been kind of weird. There's been some back and forth going on. You have executives meeting. There's Makan Dalrahim, who's the antitrust chief. He's been meeting with Deutsche Telekom, which is the parent company of T-Mobile. They own 63% of T-Mobile. So we're talking about a German company that owns a majority stake in an American company. They have some reservations about Dish and Charlie Ergen as it pertains to them becoming the fourth carrier. So Deutsche Telekom doesn't want Dish to have the ability to sell out to a bigger conglomerate mega company during this whole process of the merger. So you guys know how prepaid carrier works. You know how MVNOs work. Essentially, Dish is going to be an MVNO of T-Mobile. They're going to operate on the T-Mobile network for the foreseeable future. It could be 3 years, could be 5 years. We don't know the exact details, but they'd be operating on the same network. Deutsche Telekom is basically saying, we'll give Dish 12.5% capacity on our network. That's like me saying, JG, if I'm going to let you use my car, but you're only allowed to go 35 miles per hour.
Oh, wow.
You get what I'm saying? That's a really good comparison. So, like, that means you can't go on the freeway. Like, if you go on the freeway, you're going to have people up your behind, right, honking at you, trying to get you out the way.
Exactly.
So imagine you're kind of on like a neutered network. So the DOJ is like, well, that's not happening. We need them to be a legitimate competitor.
Yeah.
People aren't going to have a service that's a third of the speed or a fifth of the speed, you know? So that was kind of an issue. That was a snag. The bigger snag, though, is that Dish is always going to be looking to bail out. They're always going to be looking to get out. And Deutsche Telekom knows that there's risk that Google could get involved, Amazon, another cable provider like Charter or Comcast. And if those companies are bigger than Dish, the fear is that they could become bigger than T-Mobile in the long run. So they have their reservations from a couple of areas. The DOJ says, we don't give a damn. We don't care about what you want to negotiate. This is the deal. Full capacity on the network. They can do whatever they want once the network is built out. So T-Mobile Deutsche Telekom is backed into a corner, essentially. This is the deal. You either take it or you leave it.
Yeah.
And as of right now, all indications, multiple sources have confirmed Deutsche Telekom is taking the deal, and they are just going to accept the terms that the DOJ has set forward. Dish is going to operate at full capacity on the T-Mobile network, and Dish will have free reign to do whatever they want if they decide to sell to other company or get multiple investors involved. Because here's what I've learned about Charlie Ergen and Dish. They don't want to front the bill all on their own in deploying a national network. They're looking for people to come in with money. And they like their options of maybe selling out. The problem is Verizon, and this is where things get interesting. Verizon wants Dish badly. Verizon needs their spectrum so bad because Verizon is probably the most congested network in the U.S. They'll do anything to get the spectrum from Dish. So when I give you my insight, there's a lot of moving parts here. There are companies that want Dish. Dish has been hoarding spectrum. Dish has as much spectrum as Verizon. People don't know this. Yeah. And then with this merger, with the fourth carrier creation, they'll probably have more spectrum than Verizon because they'll be getting some 2.5 gigahertz from the merger from Sprint, and they'll probably get some low-band LTE out of it too from T-Mobile, which, I don't know, it could be 700 megahertz, could be 800, I don't know. But I'm telling you right now, this could get messy. What could happen in the next 4 or 5 years is going to completely change the wireless landscape.
Definitely.
You might see Dish build out and become a real legitimate provider. You might see Dish sell out to another company. You might see, you might see Verizon buy out Dish. All of this is legitimate. And what's interesting is AT&T and Verizon have been quiet, which means it gives off the impression that they're waiting for their opportunity to benefit from something. Because if they were really against this and they knew that they had,
They would have spoken up already.
Yeah, they would have stopped it. But I think they see something. There's deals with the FCC. There's deals with other networks where they might gain and benefit from it. Because AT&T has been doing acquisitions like crazy. They've bought a whole bunch of stuff. They bought Time Warner. They've got the Band 14 First Responders Network from the government. They've been benefiting up the wazoo. Verizon's been quiet, and Verizon has been suffering from their network side. What if they end up with Dish?
Well, you know what? I don't know. I could be wrong, but I just feel like they won't let them take on Dish because that's going to be another huge problem, and then the antitrust. And imagine what we're already going through right now with T-Mobile and Sprint. So imagine if.
Yeah, but here's the thing: the DOJ is their only job is to regulate this deal. Their job is not to regulate what happens 3 years from now. That's the FCC. Huh. So if there is going to, and here's the thing, an acquisition, well, because in an acquisition or a merger are two different things. This is a merger. Yeah. This is two companies coming together and operating. Like Sprint's bringing something to the table here. They're bringing 55 million customers, and they're bringing the most important spectrum to 5G networks.
Yeah, well, you know, Dish, you don't know what's going to bring in 3 years, right? It could be Dish does really good.
It's possible. I could see Dish, if this is done right, because they're going to have full access to the new T-Mobile network, not today's T-Mobile network. I'm talking the T-Mobile network from a year from now, which has Sprint spectrum, which has the 2.5, which has 5G. Yeah. So that means they could be on arguably the best network in the U.S. at a sweetheart deal as an MVNO for 3 to 7 years, because we don't have the disclosed terms yet. But could you imagine? That's an amazing deal. They could be so profitable and still have a great network. All they have to do is compete price-wise, and customers will flock to them.
That's crazy. So to sum it up, what you just said, from what I understand, T-Mobile got cornered, right? And
T-Mobile's, they're backed into a corner, yeah.
Yeah, you know, and their parent company's like, it doesn't have any other options at this point. And they're afraid if they don't accept this, Dish can just come out and then, you know, leave, and Google or, like you said, any other company that are going to be real competitors will then come in. So they're like, you know what? Okay, let's. We have a saying, you know, sometimes if you scare somebody with death, they'll accept a fever. So they're probably saying, okay, instead of going with somebody that's going to be a real competitor in the long run, let's just accept Dish, go with what they can do, and just deal with it. We don't have any other options, because I think they really need the spectrum as well, right?
Yeah. So what's really happening behind closed doors, the FCC has indicated they want this merger. The DOJ is kind of doing their dirty work. It's like the FCC has already signed off on it. We want this. The DOJ doesn't want it. But under the correct concessions, they'll make it happen. Because when this gets taken to court in October, they have to convince a judge that there's still going to be 4 active competitive companies in the U.S. wireless market. Under these concessions, it's there. This case holds up in court. Without Dish using their hoarded spectrum, become a 4th competitive carrier, operating on a good national network, this merger is going to fail. Sprint would be looking for a new buyer, and T-Mobile would just be out completely. And the issue is T-Mobile has a lot of momentum. JG, they've added over 1 million subscribers every quarter for 6 years.
Who's that?
T-Mobile.
Wow. Yes.
That is unprecedented. I've never seen anything like that before. Every quarter when I report on the T-Mobile Tech YouTube channel, every quarter I anticipate slower growth from T-Mobile. There's no way they can add another 1+ million. Every quarter after quarter. I've had a channel for 2 years. That's 8 quarters. I already counted it. T-Mobile added over 18 million customers. In the 2 years that I've had my channel, well, that's almost half of what Sprint has. Yeah. They've added in 2 years.
Man, if I was Sprint, or if I was AT&T or Verizon right now, it's going to be ugly, right?
And that's why I'm saying they must be sitting quiet, because they're expecting something to come their way. I just don't know. because they should be worried.
Definitely they should. And I actually have seen some numbers from AT&T and Verizon, and they're not as good as T-Mobile, right? So T-Mobile is definitely doing a better job here. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification button to be notified when I upload more videos. Thank you for watching. See you guys in the next one.